Alrighty, this is the sight glass located on the bottom of the gearbox, and this is where you'll be viewing when you fill your gearbox. You have to use, according to the Hearth Owner's Manual, 90 weight oil, and you'll fill it up so that it's just at the bottom of that sight glass. The filler port is at the top where that tag is attached to, and so you got to remember, be very, very careful and get that engine gearbox oil filled before you run the engine. And we'll walk around here. Here's the exhaust pipe, and the EGT probes will go in up here. There's a let's see here, a couple of spots on here for the EGT probes to screw down into there, and then the wires will come down and be dressed off and brought up to the cockpit for the EGT, and then the cylinder head temperature gauge will be engaged in the spark plugs. Pull the plugs out, put the sensor in, and then run it down. There's the electric starter, and we'll get in a little closer here. This is where the power connection for the electric starter will connect. This goes directly to the battery, or actually it goes directly to the starter solenoid, and then from the solenoid to the battery. Now I'm going to be installing a ground cable that will connect in from here and go all the way down to here to the root tube. Now the reason for that is that those Lord mounts, those rubber mounts, tend to isolate the engine casing from the airframe, and you have to have a good ground for the electronic system to work properly. So I will be putting a ground wire in between the engine block and the fuselage root tube. And here's the, and I'll get around to the other side here. I'll show you the wiring on the engine. Now this wire coming down here, these two yellow wires, that is the wire coming from the stator assembly, and will get wired directly, the AC voltage from this will get wired directly into the regulator that comes with the engine kit. This other connector up here is the connector for, I'm going to zoom in here, for the ignition system. Now I don't like this setup. This is right out in the middle of everything: water, snow, ice, contamination, whatever. These are sealed good, and I will put some RTV on them to seal them up a little better. But I'm going to take this connector off of here and put what are called environmental splices on there and lengthen that wire to bring it down. It'll come down below the root tube here, along this back side and inside of this area here, and then I will put in a connector down here that will be environmentally sealed, so moisture and rain and corrosion cannot get inside there. There's my two carburetors here and here. I have to get the cables run and get the everything done on that. She's getting ready to go here. Here's the filler port for filling the gearbox oil, right up here at the top of the gearbox. Yeah, it's a lot of work getting that up there. It took three of us. I was on the aft end holding the propeller shaft, and my two big, tall, good buddies, Peter and Dave, were on the front, and we had the tail down, held down, and we just lifted her up there and sat her on. She went right in and then just bolted it down.